Cool. It says we're live.
Awesome. Well, I'm live. I'm recording it now. So,
Boom.
awesome. All right. I guess we're doing this. So
Yep.
it's the Medic Up podcast from Responder Solutions Group. So everybody makes it look so easy. Let's see what happens. So I got the interwebs' skinny medic with me today. And pretty much like I said before in the write-ups, just going to have my friends over. I'm going to talk about whatever is interesting to us today and go from there and see what shakes loose. So this week, the first week, EMS week, we're at the end of that. For everybody out there working EMS, fire, police EMS, and mostly EMS for us this week. So good job. Thanks for what you do. Whatever you collected on your free stuff this week, your free food, your t-shirts, your challenge coins, your whatever, good job. Keep doing what you do. The two of us, though, are recently off of the National Tactical Medical Competition 2017 from hosted up in Charlotte, North Carolina by Special Operations Aid and Rescue. And it was a good competition. It was crazy. We got smoked. It's pretty tough. The three-peat champions of the South Carolina Paramedic Symposium Championship guys with our big trophies walking up there and getting humbled pretty quick. So, what do you got to say there, Dietrich?
I think so. I feel like it was definitely obvious the difference between tactical medicine and street medicine.
Absolutely.
I think that was a big time. I feel like I'm a fairly decent paramedic in the street, and then we got there just setting up casualty collection points, the physical part of it. Huge gap between street paramedicine and tactical field care and tactical medicine.
The medicine, no doubt. That was easy. The physical part, when they said like 3 times, this isn't a tactical CrossFit competition. It was quickly a tactical CrossFit competition that I was grossly underprepared for.
Oh, I would definitely make sure that I'm in better shape if we compete again.
Absolutely. When we compete again and win. No, those guys were studs from around the country. 15 teams, I think 12 or 13 showed up, and it was a good time. It was all day. A lot of good dudes. No bad attitudes out there.
Right.
Everybody was cool. Great facility at the police and fire training facility in Charlotte. Definitely had some takeaways though. Obviously you come back after any competition or a sport and you think, what could I have done better? What did I do well? It's just like a typical debrief. But these guys put together a solid scenario. Andrew Raleigh and those guys at SOAR did a good job. Tons of facilitators, I think.
Absolutely.
Really good patience. But just kind of a rundown. You had to put all your kit on. Everybody, each team member had their plate carrier, their PPE, their vest, their iPro. And then we had 2 big backpacks, NAR4 bags from North American Rescue, stocked the same way. You could cross-load some gear from one, but you couldn't touch the other one. Mm-hmm. You had to breach a door with a Hearst tool, which was pretty cool. The Hearst Strong Arm, I really want one of those really bad.
Yeah, that was the first time I got to see that. That was
cool.
That's what I said, on my video about. I said, we've been practicing with the
Halligan bar,
right. Hand tools, and they bring this battery-powered beast out. And I was like, okay.
And once you get some purchase point on that door, you just handle that thing right open.
Absolutely.
And after that, we had a 3-man security team. You had to kind of do some, move to cover. They would clear it for you, just like Rescue Task Force, because it's based off of the TECC guidelines. And come up upon a couple cars that had been shot up or whatever, and assess a few patients, throw a couple tourniquets on, evac a few of those patients, and you have to move those patients about 150 yards. Then you move those patients to about 150 yards to a casualty collection point. It's another scenario, kind of takes over. They tell you, hey, you have 9 casualties. Start triaging them. They hand you a handful of tags and tell you to go to work. You're doing work. IED goes off. Somebody yells officer down, splits our team up a little bit. and all of a sudden you're faced with a security element member who needs who's been blown up, he's a double amputee, I think, bleeding everywhere. So you go into you've moved from tactical field care to care under fire, throw some tourniquets on that guy, and then put him on a stretcher, move him another 200 yards, and then another 150 yards to a Bearcat, where you get another patient. Now you're doing more tactical field care. They need airway interventions. They need pain control. What else do they need? Hypothermia management. All the March acronym stuff. And then we move one of those guys. He doesn't make it. He's in the scenario. He just dies. Then you move the survivor. You move him a little bit further, another 100 yards across the grass. They give you a guy in a Skedco. You pull the sked stretcher, you carry the sked stretcher, and you get 12 minutes to do a rope evolution where you have to rig a 3-to-1 or 6-to-1 haul system to haul them up 3 floors, switch it over, make it into a lowering system, lower it down, run downstairs 6 flights of steps, and then move all this gear onto this predetermined square, and then you're done. Super easy. Everybody just killed it. I make it sound like 10 minutes and you're done. We ran it in 42.
Yeah.
And couldn't complete that rope evolution. I hobbled most of the way.
It was like I talked to a couple of guys afterwards, and it's funny how like what we do triage EMS is a complete joke.
Absolutely.
We do maybe one training session a year on, all right, okay, you've got a bus overturn, this was blah blah, but these guys, they know it. Like, they practice it, they're good at it, they're just fast through triage and just controlling major bleeding, doing kind of the major stuff, and then setting up a casualty collection point.
And that's what I thought the same thing too. I wrote down a bunch of takeaways, and the first one was in capital letters. It says basics. It's the basics. It was SALT triage or START triage, whichever one you like. I'm kind of becoming a fan of SALT triage because I like hey, if you can hear me, stand up, walk toward me, you move them out of the way, and then who's hurt really bad, and then we just keep going.
I know, like, the state of Georgia went to SALT triage, and that to me it's a lot simpler, and I like that, especially under stress. Make things simple, and like I said, you do that gross triage. Like, if you can hear me, you move. So that goes your gross triage taken care of. Then you go down your individual triage. And SALT to me is a lot easier.
Way
under
easier.
Stress.
Do it fast. Get it going, which gives you more time to set up that CCP and get down to that indirect threat care, tactical field care.
Mm-hmm.
The basic carries. I'll read exactly what I wrote. The basic carries. We blow these off in class because I think we probably focus on how great 26 feet of tubular webbing is to make a hasty harness, and we pretty much drag everybody in our nice tiled classrooms or carpeted classrooms, and the worst you worry about is rug burn. When my patient, I pulled out of the car when she went down, I couldn't put a harness on her. I would have drug her across asphalt. If that was real life, I don't think I would have done that either. I was in the open with no security. I probably would have just grabbed her wrist and tried to go to cover. There was no cover. So what do? You're going to have to carry the one person carry him, Hawes carry the SEAL Team 3 if you got 2 people, whatever you're doing. But we kind of blow that off and go, hey, if you've ever carried your drunk friend home from the bar before, you know how to SEAL Team 3 carry somebody. And we don't practice it.
Right.
What else? The moving with gear. In class, we don't put our gear on until the second day. As part of our big, 2-day TECC guideline class. And even then, do you put your plates in there? Do July in South Carolina, nobody wants to put their plates on there. I got hypoxic really quickly, which means I know my heart rate went up, which means I know my fine motor skills were gone. And I paid for it.
Yeah, I felt like it was obvious, like when you were hypoxic and your heart rate's 170, you're trying to breathe 40 times a minute, that like my motor skills were gone.
Right.
And we talk about that, especially using firearms, stuff like that. And man, like I went to pull to compress and I couldn't.
Right.
I was like, I know the needle goes right there. I need to work on it. So.
And it looks great on the video. Like, the video doesn't lie. You can pick out, like we talked earlier this week, during the scenario where the Bearcat is. We started watching other teams when we were done our run, and people were like opening up this Pelican box that had a ventilator.
Just like you were talking about earlier, you go back and you watch that video, and you can
All that stuff that we talked about, like, you get that sensory overload, and we do sensory overload in class. What do? We put you in the smoky Connex box, or we put you in a dark room. We put the strobes on, we fire the smoke machine up, or we play really loud music, and then again, that's only going to get you so far. We ran this course in daylight with great weather, with no clear eye pro on, no smoked over eye pro or Vaseline on the goggles so you couldn't see, or blacked out goggles, and it was still the same problems. The fitness stuff, I think we've talked at length all week. Being a tactical athlete is a thing. It's a thing. You need to do it. That carries over. Obviously, I think normal EMS. We talk about it all the time. We know enough statistics out there that in your first year of EMS, 25% of all new paramedics are going to have a career-ending back injury, and that's 1 in 4. That's a lot.
And that's what I even thought about today. Like I feel compared to where I know we're in the bacon belt right now, but I feel like I'm in pretty decent shape for as far as compared to other paramedics in the field. And we got there, like these dudes were just in phenomenal shape, and that's what they get paid to do. I mean, that's what their job is, to be the best of the best, and that's what they were.
Those dudes from Canada, man, those guys were solid, looking for a gym at like 7:30 in the morning before they did their run. I just wanted to find a pillow and a snack and have a nap and have someone wake me up when it was time to go. And again, it's the wrong attitude. It's the wrong attitude. Being able to perform our skills under time stress, where I don't think we've ever done that. I don't stress it when I was teaching paramedic school. I never said, and we do, I think jokingly, 30 seconds till your, registry sheet says 30 seconds to your first ventilation when you initiate the supraglottic airway sheet. What does that really do? I mean, well, great. We had guys yelling in our ear, all right, guys, we got to go. Hey, we're getting shot at. Time to go. And then we watch. What do? We watch teams just blow it off and be like, well, look, I'm doing stuff. I'm gonna finish criking this guy. Well, I think in real life, you're gonna catch a round to the head and you're gonna be done with your crike, and your patient's dead. You're dead. You're not helping anybody.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest time stress we have to worry about is being off scene in 10 minutes for a trauma patient. So, and nobody's shooting at us at that point. So, definitely listen to your security team and stuff like that.
And I think practice and skills under time might be a thing. It might be something you should do. When we do it in the tech course, how long do you tell people you should have your tourniquet on and tightened for self-aid, right? I mean, what do? You guys say, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I know, some should be 45 seconds tops. It should, pulse should be obliterated. It should be on.
Hold on, I got to answer some questions over here. I'm on Facebook Live, by the way, Mike. So the course was designed for tactical medics. I mean, that's what it was there for. Chris and I do rescue task force, so we're not SWAT team. We're not door kickers, but we were there. They allowed us to come up, things like that. And then Christopher says, I don't trust a paramedic with Beats headphones. So, yeah, those
are on loan.
Yeah, these are on loan. These actually aren't mine. I'm not cool enough to wear things like this, but this is Chris's daughter. She let me borrow them, so I'm not cool enough to wear Beats. So, thank you guys for everybody on Facebook Live that are kind of like sitting in the background watching us right now.
That's rad. Cool. Other stuff, the time stress, should be able to perform a crike under time stress, I think. Something I'm going to try, not to the point where my students are going to lose a finger or something, but something that personally I'll work on. Carry real people. Carrying the Simulades dummy who weighs about, 29 pounds, 30 pounds, that's not going to cut it. The second scenario, during the CCP scenario, he was I believe he was a Trauma FX dummy. He was every bit of 190 pounds.
That mannequin was awesome.
Yeah, the mannequin's super cool, but he was every bit of 190 pounds. And when we went to roll him and put him on a talon litter, it was stuff got real quick.
Yeah,
real quick. So start safely carry real people, but put people on a talon. strap them in there. You know, going back, looking through 500 plus pictures. We watched, because it was a mannequin, I watched other teams carrying that patient 250 yards, and the quick release straps on him, they're just dangling. Not that, you know, you're going to trip over them, but again, if you're going to do it, you got to do it. And other people will challenge that and be like, no, if you're getting shot at, man, you're just gonna do however you're gonna do to move them. I get it, but if you start practicing to put that stuff together, it becomes second nature, becomes automatic. It happens before you even think about it. What else?
So yeah, Chris and I are working on a 2-day TEC class. It's not a TCCC class. It's for EMS. If you're looking for a TCCC class, George, I would, if you're in the area, like the Southeast, I would look at, obviously coming to North American Rescue. They do a fantastic TCCC class. SOAR Rescue does a great one. Look at Jay Paisley's, was it Critical?
Critical, why can't I think of what the A is right now?
Critical something group. They do a fantastic one. Spence, who was the guy in California?
Oh, Spent Brass.
Spent Brass.
Training.
Yes, he does a good one out in California. He's got good stuff. So those are some people that you can look for TCCC class. But we're doing a 2-day trauma class this summer. Chris and I are going to do one. So you guys are open to come.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be physical.
Yeah, not interrupt your podcast from Facebook Live.
Dude, I'll dig it. It's cool. I like it. I get nothing but time. It's people listening on the interwebs, hopefully. That was really a lot. I mean, I had some other personal stuff written down. You know, I like to work out of the North American squad bag. We didn't have those. We had backpacks. I don't like to work out of a backpack. And then trying to cross-load tourniquets, that was a problem. But coming up with it, I also don't wear a first-line belt for TCCC or TECC stuff, because Rescue Task Force, even around town, I don't have access to that.
Yeah.
On the job.
I feel like you need like the tourniquet carrier, like the old West, like when they put their bullets.
Like a bandolier.
Yeah, that's what you just need tourniquets, like you can just quick draw them, just boom,
right.
boom, boom.
And I thought that's what I'm thinking. Like I said, you know, have a dump pouch for range days, or classes. Maybe I need a dump pouch full of tourniquets. I joke and always talk about people bringing their bag-o tourniquets, but I mean the fanny pack. But I mean, I probably need the dump pouch full of tourniquets to just keep deploying. My luck is, though, I'll reach in for 12 of them will go spilling out, and, you know, practice. What else? I mean, a lot of personal stuff. Learn your ropes. We struggled with the rope system. We used the CTOM's kit, the rescue kit, which is, you know, their proprietary stuff. You know, that's difficult. I could probably rig a 3-to-1 with no problem with, you know, 2 pulleys, 2 prusiks, and 2 beaners, and the rope, and be happy and be done. But that was part of, you know, they were a sponsor, so you got to use some sponsors' equipment. We did get to do a pre-course online training for it, which ended up being 250 pages online to do stuff. And again, being a slacker, we had that in like January, and I looked at it the night before and got through 30 pages of, if you use our stuff and die, it's not our fault. And I went to sleep because I had to get up early to drive to Charlotte. So
yeah, my ADD was not gonna let me read that book. So
so we got on the scene training. Again, on the scene training while my brain was starving for oxygen, and they're like, all right, go up 6 flights of steps, do what we just told you, but do it fast. You have 12 minutes. It didn't translate from my brain to my hands. And I was like, okay, I've set this up 1,000 times, but just not with your stuff. And it wasn't working. So
the other thing that we struggled with, and we weren't the only team that struggled with it, was that jet tourniquet.
Ugh.
And like I said, we weren't the only team that struggled with it, but you know, that thing definitely takes practice, and it's something that's not on every ambulance. You know, probably very few ambulances actually have them on their even the SAM junction or whatever, the junctional tourniquet. Very few ambulances have those on their units, so that's something we don't get practice with as field paramedics. So that's another thing that, you know, to be familiar with that kind of stuff. And
I hated that. I hated that thing. I'm not a fan of it to begin with. I like the SAM better personally. But it was one of those things that was sprung on us the morning of. Hey, here it is. You know, we'll get you one to play with while you guys are in the staging area. We didn't get one. and a lot of people struggled with it. I don't think everybody did, but we definitely did. A couple other teams we watched fumble with it.
I like the SAM as well because you can do it up in the shoulders and stuff like that. Like that's, the jet's made just for femoral arteries, I think in the groin.
Is it? I thought it could go up in the.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't. From what I understand, it won't go up in axillary stuff. So
yeah, I'm not a. It's like the Crock. I think people like the Crock. I don't. I've used it twice in training, and I think I always feel like I have to have an engineering degree to make that thing work. It's like an adult erector set, but again, it's exposure. If I was to sit with that and play with it in every class and really really learn the inner workings of it, again, it's personal downfall. I'm just like, oh, wound packing will take care of all of this. I don't need a junctional tourniquet. Well, I obviously need a junctional tourniquet. So, eye opener. It's good. It was good. That was a good thing to come out of the day. Great training. Definitely identified gaps. Definitely stuff to work on. And again, it's someone, like we both said, we consider ourselves really good paramedics and, have a really good handle on this tactical type medicine and teach it. And if people come back and tell us all the time, you guys did a great course. I was able to use this stuff as soon as I was on my next shift. But again, we don't carry local services don't have junctional tourniquets on their truck. So it's just something we kind of maybe blow off because it's not something you can walk out the door and then go use. So
right.
Something, just a gap to work on. That's all it is. So, what else, man? I loved it. I had a great time. I still had
Absolutely.
a great time. Even though grossly underprepared and beat down at the end of it, I had a great time. Definitely want to go back.
Absolutely. I mean, those guys were just fantastic. They're the best of the best in the business. I mean, there's SWAT teams, there's federal guys, there's contractors there, and they're the best of the best. And they were super humble about it. Like they were,
right.
They're like the when we pulled out the chest tube set, we're like, hey guys, we don't do chest tubes, and they started showing us, and to sit around and talk to those guys and that are doing it on a daily basis, and just use it as a learning opportunity as well. So it was well worth the time. It's a fantastic course that stressed you, and like you said, you come away. It doesn't matter if we did the South Carolina pyramid competition. There was things we could do better.
Oh yeah.
And we, I honestly would have probably been shocked if we'd have went up there to Charlotte and beat them.
Yeah,
and
I'd have felt bad. I'd have felt bad for a lot of people.
I've been like, we don't do this full time. We just beat you guys. There's a problem. So,
right.
But for us to go up there, it was a great learning opportunity to take away from stuff and get better for next year.
And it was definitely a sense that there was no way, and again, not to talk bad about the South Carolina competition, but we were writing scenarios and judging for the Carolina competition, which is held alternate years, South Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina. It's a very big competition between the two states, and it's great. And it was very technical, but just like everything else, like GEMS games, EMS Today, our competition in South Carolina, the state competition, you can easily game it. And I don't think there was a way to really game the NTMC one.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, because I mean, you either understood this. I mean, again, I've been going on for weeks going, well, it's such a small skill set, tourniquets, chest tubes, chest seals, junctional tourniquet, some rope work. The skill set's not there. Chest needle, it's not a big deal. Crike, you're going to learn 6 things, do them really well. Well, then you add the hypoxia, the time stress, the auditory stuff, the visual stuff, and it becomes a big problem real quick if you're you can't game it and be like, oh, I preloaded my bilateral needle decompression set and I taped it to my hands. You couldn't do that.
Right. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not like, you go to GEMS games and people have pre-connected IVs and, they already have their paralytics drawn up in such a way. You were handed paralytics if you were smart enough to realize it was time to put this guy down and do some trauma pharmacology. They were like, hey, there's your TXA, there's your fentanyl, go ahead and do it. And you had 2 syringes and you're like, well, I need this syringe. You're like, well, this is the syringe you got, make it work. So there was no figure it out ahead of time. You just knew you should be able to know, I know how to mix drugs really well. I know what drug I want to give. I want to be able to do the dilution. I want to be able to do, is it IV, is it IV push or IV drip? So things to, try to vary that training and not just get into that comfort zone of, all right, guys, we're going to learn TXA. It's a gram and 100. We're going to run it over 10 minutes. Here you go. Here's the actual vial. It's a gram in there. Just suck all of it out. Change the concentration and say there's 2 grams in there. So under stress, when your hands are shaking, You have to draw out half the volume, put it into the bag, and then set that up. It sounds like a minor difference, but again, when your heart rate's 150 and your pulse ox is reading 88, and you're sucking wind, it sucks really quick. But other than that, like I said, I had a blast. I can't wait to go back. I want to hang out with those dudes. I want to do some training. So
Absolutely, that's kind of the takeaway point too. I was like, there's a couple classes that I want to take. From Jay Paisley, obviously, I want to go down there. He does a 3-day trauma class. I want to get in the creek. I want to learn from that guy. And then SOAR Rescue does some classes. I feel like if they can put on that good of competition, then that probably says what SOAR Rescue can do for a class. So they do some TCCC classes. They have the week-long practitioner course. So that's definitely on my wish list to take.
I agree. Cool, man. Definitely a good time. So what else? I think as the first episode of this podcast, and not to beat you guys, like I said, we're not gonna Joe Rogan experience. It's not gonna be 9 hours of us talking. I always think, like I said, I want to have my friends on. I want to talk about stuff in EMS, and if you guys haven't watched Dietrich's YouTube channel, The Skinny Medic, absolutely check it out. But the most ironic thing, and he's probably gonna be mad that I say it, the most ironic thing about his YouTube fame is the day that we met, he absolutely was like, "Oh, the cat tourniquet's garbage. You don't need that." I can make it out of a T-shirt. I can make it out of a cravat and a stick I find on the ground. And I was like, all right, well, it was like, now this conversation took place at quarter of 5 in the morning while we're doing shift change at one of our EMS stations. And, he didn't know me from anybody. I really didn't know him. And he's on and on and on. And I think his partner was baiting him into it because they knew I was just at the point of finishing up research at our EMS service and getting cat tourniquets put on the truck and getting King Airways put on the truck way back 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And he was just he's cravat, dude. Turn it with a Lincoln log, it'll be fine. And a year later, he's selling them, and he's like, "Oh my God, cat tourniquets are awesome." We've both put them on. We've both stopped arterial bleeds with them, and here we are evolving with tactical medicine. The business is doing great. Medical Gear Outfitters. If you guys need to go buy first aid kit components, go check them out.
Yeah, that's definitely funny that we met. I remember that day, that morning. Like you said, it's butt crack of dawn, and you're like, I do think my partner baited me in on that, because I came from a smaller service. We didn't do tourniquets, and like I said, it was starting to come that way, and I was like, man, you don't need a tourniquet. I've never used a tourniquet in a few years. I've been in EMS, blah blah. And now I make a living on tourniquets. I talk to you guys about tourniquets. I talk to I sell tourniquets. Everything tourniquets. If I put a video on tourniquets on YouTube, it goes crazy. Even how to make a tourniquet. I did that video. That's supposed to be on the History Channel coming up soon. Just how
the Paul Gomez way, man. I miss Paul. I love that. It's my alternative. It's my go-to alternative. I always have a cravat. I always have keys with a big key ring, and I always have a carabiner on my backpack or in my pocket. So
yeah,
it was one of those. If you're gonna do it, that's the way I do it. But no, I always think it's the funniest thing, and then it's always weird. It's always weird stuff with me and Dietrich. When we competed, we never worked together. We actually never worked a shift together until after we won a competition. So again, it's just the funny, stupid stuff in EMS, and doesn't need to always be. The podcast isn't always going to be like, hey, guess what we're going to cover today? We're going to do REBOA and DIY REBOA in the field. No, we're not going to do that. We can talk about it, but it's mostly going to be me, my friends. Dietrich will be on a lot because he's local and we hang out. So
we'll do it.
We'll pop up in different places. The Swamp Rabbit Pre-Hospital Medical Conference is coming up June 16 and 17 if you're in the upstate of South Carolina. Or if you're not, come in, see the city, pay $75, go to 2 days of decent medical education. I think we're having, Reed Smith is going to be here from CTEC. Dietrich's going to talk about some austere medicine stuff. There's tons of stuff. I think Dr. Hobbs, my dog, Dr. Hobbs is going to do a single finger thoracostomy lecture. It's going to be fun. Everyone will walk out of there thinking they're going to be sticking their finger in someone's chest and cutting the chest to put a tube in. the dogs. Hey, are you done? Oh.
So someone on my Facebook live says, what level of medical training you think the average person should have? Obviously, I think you should have basic first aid, things like that. CPR is huge. That's how you're going to save a life, is knowing CPR and feeling comfortable doing CPR. So if you don't have CPR training, absolutely get into a CPR class, and then take a basic first aid class. If you can get to South Carolina, come take my trauma class. You'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in there. There's tons of stuff out there. You know, we're hitting the Stop the Bleed campaign, First Care Provider, Red Cross, Basic First Aid, Advanced First Aid. I don't know if that's still around. You know, that's how we started. But it's out there. Go out there, get with your local community groups, check at your church, or, you know, like us, like the A-Team. If you can find us and you want to hire us, dude, we'll come teach you. All right, it's Band-Aid stuff. Sticky side down. We'll figure it out. We'll get it. We'll get you trained. We'll get you proficient. We'll get you ready to respond. So, what else? I don't know. That's really it. I think it's enough. I think it's enough for the first one. So
We'll do it again.
I hope you guys like it. The Medic Up podcast. If you guys have ideas, I'll be sending out the in the show notes. I'll throw the email address, the website address. It's really simple, www.respondersolutionsgroup.com. Actually worked out. And you guys can leave comments, because I'm sure everyone will hate on us and tell us why we shouldn't have been at that competition and how they would have done it, and we'll see you next year. It's only capped at 15 teams, so get your money in soon when you see it advertised, and we'll see you out there on the competition field. Till then, man, guys, keep it cool, and you know where to find us on the interwebs, man.